Urbanisation is the increase of people living in cities and towns caused by people moving from rural areas as well as from interstate or overseas. Urbanisation is very real in Adelaide, with an expected growth in the population of 400,000 people in 30 years. Adelaide has a 30-year plan to account for this growth. The plan was made to maximise population density and make Adelaide more livable. The plan will be revised and revisited every 5 years. As part of the plan, there are two diverse strategies of achieving this. One has been demonstrated in Bowden with a plan to build up, and the other in Mount Barker with a plan to build out. The 30-year plan consists of protecting the resources, smarter travel, increasing the activity of people in Adelaide, having a greener city, having neighbourhoods close to each other, and having a wide range of housing options.
Mount Barker background. Mount Barker is the largest town in Adelaide Hills with around 25,000 in population. It is 35 kilometres from the Adelaide CBD. It's the fastest growing inland town in Australia and is said to have a population of 50,000 people in 20 years. It's close to other neighbouring towns such as Crafers, Stirling, Aldgate, Bridgewater, Hahndorf, Murray Bridge. And it's accessible via the freeway. Urban sprawl. Urban sprawl or suburban sprawl describes the expansion of human populations away from central urban areas into low-density, monofunctional and usually car-dependent communities in a process called suburbanisation. Mount Barker can be an example of this, as its new housing development pushed the city boundaries and expanded into the agricultural land.
The environmental negative impacts of Mount Barker is the clearing of the agricultural land. Another impact is the clearing of the tree. On the other hand, the environmental positive impacts is the low population density and the open spaces. You also have to use a lot more fuel to get to the CBD, causing greenhouse gases.
A positive impact of Mount Barker is that they spent $3.75 million on a sports centre. Mount Barker is a great place to raise a family, with parks and open spaces and a safe place for kids to play. Though Mount Barker does contain a hospital, it is not equipped with all the serious stuff that they may need. As Mount Barker is quite isolated, there are less activities and social events that can be done.
The positive economical impacts for Mount Barker is that the housing is a lot cheaper because it's further away from the CBD and you get larger housing. A negative impact for the economical impacts of Mount Barker is that the houses had to be built so that farms had to be destroyed, which loses jobs. But it's very expensive to travel from here to the CBD, which means families have to spend a lot more money on fuel.
Urban consolidation is the process of increasing or maintaining the density of housing in established residential areas. The aim is to reduce urban development in the countryside by setting out a plan inside the city intended to make use of existing urban infrastructure. It is located 3.1 kilometres northwest of the Adelaide CBD. Bowden is a community working to grow and benefit people in Adelaide, with contemporary apartments overlooking the parklands to the northwest of Adelaide. Over 400 homes have been sold and will eventually accommodate more than 3,500 residents by the completion of the 10-12-year project.
Positive economical impacts for Bowden is that it's cheaper to redevelop an inner city. Another positive about Bowden is it helps stimulate more jobs and services. On the other hand, a negative about Bowden is that it's more expensive to live here as it's closer to the CBD.
A positive environmental impact of Bowden is that they use existing urban infrastructure instead of using parklands. And less fuel is needed because there's public transport surrounding it. A negative environmental impact of Bowden is that there needs to be a lot of resources to build it, although there's a lot more traffic.
Positive social impacts of Bowden include being so close to the CBD that you don't have to take long to get to work. It's closer to services. Some negative social impacts of Bowden include the fact that it doesn't cater to families. If you want to move to Bowden, you might have to give your car up as there are only limited car spaces.
I personally believe that Adelaide should build up rather than out because they will be using existing urban infrastructure and would not clear any parklands. It is also closer to the CBD and less fuel would be used as there is public transport surrounding the area. It is a lot closer to schools and businesses which will benefit a large amount of people, including myself. Although once retired or having a family with young kids, Mount Barker will be an enjoyable place to settle in due to the low population density and clean air with no noise and a friendly community.
I think that building up is the more appropriate strategy for Adelaide to adhere to, but depending on the growth of Adelaide's population, building out may need to be accompanied by building up. By building up, Adelaide is able to keep the hills as agriculture and beautiful landscape instead of turning them into housing blocks. A high population density means that people can share more services such as jobs and open spaces, making more room for apartments. Public transport, local shops, and Adelaide's attractions will have a massive growth. Building up will not only help to home more people but also to boost the economy. As a teenager, I wouldn't like to move 30 minutes away from the Adelaide CBD, as my school, friends and family are all here in Adelaide. Families are not very accounted for in Bowden though, as there isn't enough space for lots of rooms and there's only community space, so it really depends on the age. I think that building up is the best strategy for Adelaide's massive growth in population, as the sky is the limit.
Mount Barker and Bowden both hold various characteristics that allow them to be a sound solution when figuring out where to house Adelaide's rapid population increase, although I believe both sites hold very different age group settlements. Bowden accommodates to older people who want a low maintenance lifestyle, singles, families without younger children, and workers of the CBD. Whereas Mount Barker accommodates to growing families and workers in the hills and also people who want to get away from the city life.